It's crazy. And people are doing it. That's the thing. People are buying those properties.
You're talking $2 million like real dollars? Or
yeah, like Bitcoin.
$2 million worth of Bitcoin.
They're spending Bitcoin and they're buying property in the metaverse. And it's like apartment complexes in the metaverse. And you can change also that in the future when the metaverse does grow and people start quote unquote living there.
Yeah. They can rent from you?
Yeah, they can rent from you. You can live there, so your avatar lives there, and you can get mail there. So like email.
Can we just talk about the fact that someone has spent $2 million on a virtual reality home, and there's people that can't even buy a $100,000 house in reality. Yeah. Are there
credit checks in the metaverse?
$2 million.
Do they check your credit
crazy.
to buy this home? That's probably why they're buying it. So today
we're back
on the podcast. We are back. You told me to take this intro, and then you interrupt me, and now my brain is not working the way it should.
We're back.
We're back. Isn't that like a dinosaur movie that like we watched when we were kids?
No.
We're back. Did you ever see that?
Like Land Before Time?
It's kind of like that, but it's not that.
It's like knockoff Land Before Time.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. It's so we're back. The podcast is back. This is episode 4.
We've made it this far.
Yes. We originally shot for 5, and
that's what we signed contracts for. It's time to renew for more money.
Yeah. So if you want to be on the podcast today, call this number down below. Shane's number. I don't want extra calls.
Yeah.
So we're back today, episode 4. We are excited about this one, and what's fun about the podcast right now is it's so experimental. We're just always trying new things because the podcast kind of started out of you and I just wanting to do this, and sort of like it gave us that creative freedom to try different lighting, try this, try that, try Augie sitting in the background running.
Yeah, we got a producer
right
now.
Yeah, yeah, there's his hand.
Yeah, there he is. Yep.
Yes. There he is.
Yep.
Your bunny ears?
Yep.
Yes. So since obviously we had to cut to that shot to show you Augie, you already see the face that is today's podcast, but you might not know the name behind the face.
I didn't even know the name. This is exciting for me because this is the first guest that we have that I actually didn't know beforehand.
It's true.
So hopefully I can figure out some questions to ask. And
Shane's like, what do we talk about? Like, there's going to be plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
So today I would like to introduce our guest. I really like his last name. He's got a nice last name.
I don't even know his last name, so please introduce him so I can find out who we have on the.
This is Noah Taylor.
What's up?
Oh, okay. Now I get it.
Yes. So Noah and I go back several years, and I'm excited to have you on the podcast tonight. So, welcome to the podcast.
Excited to be here.
So originally, when I was you and I met up like a couple weeks ago now, and there's a lot of cool things. I instantly left our conversation and I called Shane, and I was just like, dude, and I just like talked about a lot of things we talked about even like kind of where you are now in life, and I was like, Noah needs to be on the podcast, and so it's definitely a must. And Shane's like, then do it. So
call him up.
Here we are.
You're like, remember the guy that I used to work with and the job that I hated?
Yep.
where buying a car didn't have to suck. You're like, well, he's doing bigger and better things now, so we need to get him on the podcast.
I remember in the very beginning of everything, I was like, even at that moment, I was like, we got to figure out a way that we work with Noah. Like, there's just things that I was just like, in that whole transition, I was like, there's a lot of opportunity to work with Noah in the same situation. So yeah, it was kind of like a reminder of, I don't know, one, how we connected on multiple creative levels, or even just like our minds and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and for those that don't know what you do, and I only know a little bit of what you do from when you did work with Taylor, I mean, what do you do?
So now I'm an account executive for a marketing agency called Idea Ranch. And realistically, I just meet with the client, and they give me their like hopes and dreams. And then I figure out creatively how the creative department can come up with that. And so I try to distill their creativity. So, a client comes to you and they're like, I want to sell 400 products and blah, blah, blah. I figure out like the actual actionable points from that. And then I brief creative on what needs to be done. And then I'm just throughout the process, kind of like setting up bumpers of every now and then checking in and being like, that's a little too creative. Let's dial it back. We need a more professional look. So that's kind of a weird way to say it, but that's about what I do.
How does that differ from your previous job? Is it quite different?
Yeah. Previously, it was Trickle and I running and gunning and just kind of like coming
Noah
up.
does everything.
Yeah, kind of coming up with creative and doing like everything from, hey, we have a concept to here's how we're going to roll the concept out to here's how it plays through across all platforms, digitally, point of sale, everything. I had my hand in all of it, and now I get to sit back and like let people who are way better than me like do it. And so when I come to them with a dream, they can make it happen. So that's cool.
So talk about a little bit of like kind of being, you made a comment like you used to feel like the smartest man in the room. And now you love being like not the smartest person in the room. Like, how does that feel?
Well, like, especially, when we were working by ourselves, it was just this like constant, you've just got to come up with the answer. And so you get so in that grain of I have to come up with it, that at a point you become in your head, you're like, I know everything I need to know, and I can do this job because I've been doing it for so long. And then now stepping into a world where there's people that I can't even fathom how they come up with the ideas that they come up with. And to hear them so easily and eloquently just display this creativity, or there was a moment where a lot of things were going bad, and I was just like, I don't even know how to navigate these waters, which is, for me, it's not something that I'm used to. I always had to come up with the answer. And then to sit there in a room with someone who comes in, I brief him on what's wrong, and in 10 minutes, he not only figures out the answer, but he figures out the play-by-play plan of how we're going to do everything. It was like watching a master class on how to like problem solve in a way that I'm nowhere near yet. And so it's kind of like every day I go into work and I kind of get slapped in the face with like humility of, no, you thought you were good in that zone, but you're really not. So sit back, take notes. And I like that.
It's funny because a lot of people would be in that scenario, getting slapped in the face every day and not feeling like the smartest person. They'd probably be like, I'm out of here. Yeah. This is not for me. This is killing my ego. So it's pretty awesome and I'm sure you learn a lot in those scenarios. Yeah.
Well, I'm a big person of growth, and who I am today needs to be better than who I was yesterday. And so this situation like this is where I thrive in, which is one of the things that I think you and I clicked on so easily, is that I had been doing video, but I had been self-taught. And so then you coming in and educating me on day 2 on things that I was just doing horribly wrong was cool, because it was like, all right, here's a chance to like learn from someone who knows what they're doing way more than you, and you're only going to get better from doing it. So I think that's, you and I clicked in that essence pretty quick.
Yeah, it was like, it's kind of a fun place to be in. Of like, a lot of people, like you said, like are not good in that. Like they like being the pro. They are the pro, whether they are or not. And that's something that I feel like everybody in this room has had that same mentality of like, I'm going to learn and like soak in as much as I possibly can. Yeah. Like we walked in, like even just you and I working together, and it was like, there's opportunity for like ego or authority or like, I've been doing this longer, whatever. And it was never that. It was literally like, let's just learn from each other. And that was a pretty cool, like we were experimenting all the time. Yeah. So it was like, let's try this. Oh, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Let's try this. Hard drive crashed. Okay. Now what do? We go record something else. It was a cool spot to be in, and like I feel like everybody that I look up to that like made it are still that way. Like they're just like, I watch them still like writing notes based off of another creator. And
well, so like the place I'm at now, the very first thing to me said by the owner face to face was, he points at the person that I was going to be learning from, and he's like, she's smarter than you, she's better than you in every way, so just shut up and take notes. And like, yeah, that sounds like a really harsh intro to a company, but like him and I had some kind of texting conversations, and he understood that like I'm very competitive, and that was the perfect level set for just take your hubris, kick it out the door, because you know nothing. And it was great because I don't know a dang thing.
Yeah. And I think like really even every one of those people are probably where they are because they have that mindset of like, there's probably some that have like that I've made it type of vibe, but like still like they're there because they just keep learning from other people. Like we've never really made it like until we're, showing up after golfing all day and then, shoot for 2 hours about golf and then go back to golf. But also I suck at golf. So that was not talking about me and my dreams and aspirations.
I feel like technology changes too much for you to master Photoshop, if you could ever master that beast. But then let's say you do, and 2 months later they come out with a new action, and you gotta learn how to do that too. And I think one of the things with being self-taught, and it may be the same, in school. I'm not sure because we are self-taught. So you can get to a certain level and then just accept it. Or you can get to that level and realize there's another one and there's another one, and you can keep chasing them. I mean, I had one when we did, I think it was headshots, and the girls were notified a little too late by the owner that there was going to be headshots, and so they didn't get their roots done. Yeah. And so I do the headshots. Augie takes them. I'm there like directing them, and we send them up. They're perfect, but they're not because of the roots. And the girl's like, we want them removed. Now I know how to do frequency separation and things like that, nerd terminology, but it just didn't work the same on hair. And I'm like, well, what do I do? Like they want to pay extra for me to basically bleach their hair. And it took me probably about 4 hours, but eventually like I figured it out. I could have just put my hands up in defeat and been like, I don't know how to do this. Yeah. But I think if you're willing to keep learning, keep growing, and in the space you're in right now, it sounds like heaven to me. Like going in there and all these creatives that know way more than you do, then that would be amazing. Yeah. Hire me.
It's a dope, especially when there's those moments. Like I remember when we got you your first, when you brought in your first rig, and it was like that changed the game. It was like, holy cow! Like you can make a fluid motion shot rather than me like awkwardly trying to walk with this like shoulder thing and
the glide cam that's in the corner.
Yeah,
like, doing the weird squat walk that you do, and
that's all I would be doing. And then he comes in and he's just like, no, I just got this thing, and it's just like, woo.
Yeah,
and
I'm like, sprinting across.
And I'm just like, this blew my mind. And then being able to experience that with people that. On such small levels, especially when you can appreciate it, when someone comes to you and they say like, oh, that's a cool way to print this thing. But if you print it using this style of printer with this style of blah, 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 and then you see the different product and you see like the small change, but it changes it so much better. You're like, that's like 20 years of knowledge right there. You just told me in 10 minutes and like, I'm never going to forget this.
Yeah. So. And it's like everybody's kind of learning from different directions. Like, so, you got one person learning from college and they went to school for this, but a lot of what they have is book smart. And then you have the person that's like just learned it, just run and gun, figure it out, trial and error. You got the people that soak in the YouTube world. They buy a master class, like whatever it could be. So you're learning from so many different areas, and then even the people that taught you learned from so many different areas. And it's if you can stay open-minded on like, okay, I don't know it all. Like, I'm like, I can learn from everybody. Like there are moments like even like when I used to do a lot more photography. Now pretty much like you and Augie are the ones that are like knocking out the photography side. But like I used to do a lot more because I was fun and I play around with it. But I always was like, even though like your art, like you're like, yes, this is a masterpiece. And then I'd send it to Shane and he's like, I mean, you could do this. And, he's like, I mean, but it's your I'm like, No, like I always was like soaking in, like, okay, what would you do?
Yeah.
And I just always wanted to be that person that's like, okay, there's a lot of pride actually, like in every piece of art that you're pushing out. And when somebody's like, you could do it better, there's a little bit of a potential to just be like shot down. And
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of strength in being able to just like accept that and learn. And because then I look back at, you and I talk about this a lot, we look back at different things on Instagram on our grid or something that we were proud of a year ago.
Yeah.
And we're just like, oh, that's garbage.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you got it all figured out, because like this is.
Well, that's when you start getting behind.
Yeah.
Especially in a creative world, it's competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could be the best photographer in town, and you can just stick at the level you are and not grow, and then all of a sudden you're wondering, well, where'd my clients go?
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to Stacy or whoever who's just leveled up above you. And I think one of the things for you that you stepped out of photography was, I think you realized that there was more levels to the videography side and the color grading and
Mm-hmm.
you know, even the equipment knowledge on that, on what you would need. And I think you've definitely started pushing a lot more on the video side to get better quality out of that. And it's showing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
It's like in the world of like change, like this is just a prime example. You can like feel like you got it all figured out, and then the metaverse becomes a thing, and you're like, how that's a whole, literally in a whole new world.
Yeah.
And you're like, and then you get Canon. It's like, hey, we have
a VR lens.
a VR lens.
Now you got to figure out how to do VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been speaking to clients a lot about VR the past couple of weeks and how that's going to change. And those that are in the game now that don't shift to that are going to miss it so fast. And
Yeah.
then now you're just playing catch up.
Yeah.
And congrats, you're running a much harder race.
Yeah.
So
what are your views? We talked about this a few episodes ago. This is episode 4. 2 episodes ago.
Just a few, almost.
But I'm just curious, because like this is kind of the world we're living in, and what is your like view on the whole like VR, metaverse, like that kind of thing?
I think the metaverse is going to fail, just simply because the people who are running it right now and pushing it aren't. I read an article the other day that said the reason the metaverse is going to fail is because nobody wanted to hang out with Mark Zuckerberg in high school, and nobody wants to hang out with him right now.
That's
And
a great way of putting it.
nobody wants to, but
Yeah.
I think VR is going to shift drastically. You have a younger generation that's using Oculus for gaming, but right now the movers and shakers are kind of hesitant to how can I use VR, and that's new and it's weird and it requires me to look kind of silly as I put a thing on and I walk around and so they're a little hesitant. But I think if one big company pushes hard with it, you're going to see a drastic change.
You have a lot of government backing too, though,
Yeah.
because you've got a lot of military entities that are purchasing VR. I know there's a new aircraft, the KC-46 here at McConnell. They're using VR to train the new kids that are coming in to like work on the plane. I know EOD are using it to train how to, disarm a bomb. It's got a lot of really good options for the future, I think. And like you said, I think if someone big just grabs a hold of it and does it the right way and isn't the kid that no one wants to hang out with in high school, like it's going to be good.
You got to think the metaverse just immediately tried to monetize itself.
Yeah.
And so someone like me, that barrier of entry has now become massive. And I'm not gonna play in the metaverse because I don't want to spend $20,000 on a place. But if they roll the metaverse out, and then realistically you target kids. Hey kids, get on here and you can play with all your friends and do these cool free objects. As a parent, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I mean, if there's like moderators modding content, then yeah, that sounds like a cool place that my kid can hang out, especially in today's age where they don't have to leave the house, but they can still interact with everyone. But no one's doing that. They immediately said $ purchase, rather than what has been the customary model, which is here's the product. After you've enjoyed the product, now here's some ads.
Yeah, it's like that in-app purchase stuff you get on iPhones.
Exactly.
Like you can play the game, you can get just this far.
Yeah.
But if you spend $2,000, you can get further than everybody else.
Yeah. I for the first time ever went into, I think I don't know, like we have an Oculus 2 type of thing, So all I've really done is pistol whip. Like that's my game. Beat Saber, I am pretty much just trying to beat everybody in the house. That's my only goal. Like I don't care. Pistol whip though, like I do the whole like competing with the world leadership board, and I'm number 8 in the world on a song right now. So
Damn.
just take that.
Shout out to you.
Yeah,
man.
it's on a challenge that's probably over by now, but
So
it is
there's
there.
no proof.
No, there's proof because I think it saves to my leadership board or something. I don't know. But
Explain, though, for those that don't have an Oculus, for one, how stupid you look playing it, but two, what pistol whip is and what
Okay.
you have to do.
yes, so pistol whip literally is like you have your headset on. Yes, so it's not anything. It's exactly what you picture on. Like you put a computer on your head and you have 2 controllers. So you're standing in the middle of a room and you're like, draw your border around you that's safe. The coolest, have you ever been on an Oculus Quest or anything? Have you tried that?
Yeah.
So like the coolest thing is like right now, like you draw your border and if you walk outside of it, you can see the world around you. So you can see like your living room or whatever.
Oh, that's dope.
And you can see so like first time I did that, I was like playing with the kids, like they didn't think I could see them. And all of a sudden I stepped out and I was like, oh, there they are. And so I'm like chasing them, but it's like a blurry, it's like still an alternate world, almost like you see in movies, like if you come out of body experience type of thing and you see it's kind of like that. But you're standing in the middle of the room. Pistol whip is very much like it's beat activated, just like Beat Saber, like the swords and stuff. But you're basically moving down a conveyor belt and all these robots pop up and you're just trying to like obviously you get points for shooting these robots as you're going through, but it's if you shoot them on beat, you get more points. So that's right up my alley. So I'm just in there just like rolling and I'm like playing the hardest levels and like feeling like I'm the man all of a sudden. Like, yeah, I'm playing this on hard, guys. And I just beat this. Like, come on, kid. You're 8 years old. You should have done this by now.
I played it a few times, and then Beck is
beat you?
6. No, but he put it on, and so it has this feel of realism to it of when you get hit in the side of the head by these bullets that are tracking you. It makes this sharp sound as this vibration. He played it once, and he just takes it off and like slams this thing on the ground and is like, it feels like I'm getting shot. I'm like, first of all, how do you know how it feels getting shot? Because that's not true. But yeah, so that tells me that if it feels like that, which he's not like, it is a weird feeling when you get that headshot. It's weird.
Vibrates.
Yeah, it like vibrates, and you're like, what was that? But it tells me how much further they could take it. Imagine putting on like a full bodysuit. You get, and then you just right in the chest, and it just zings you or something.
There was like I was on I was literally sitting in my bed, just me and my boxers on my bed, and I did this roller coaster app, and I was like, that seems like fun. I want to see what it's like to ride a roller coaster. And so I literally was like sitting in bed, and this roller coaster starts, and I decided, like, they went through all these steps of like find your comfort level, and so it's like literally I was like, I'm just pushing it. It's like, are you nauseous? No, I'm good. Push it. No, it's a harder one. Are you nauseous? No. So I did this one where I was like shooting targets, and I was on this like crazy, and it said extreme was the level, and I'm literally up there just like, it would start twisting, and my eyes are closed because that's what I pictured. But it's like you go, all of a sudden it goes for like a whip around, and I literally felt like the weight. I know it's like brain, it's like something in your brain and vision, but it's like I felt like I was like, afterwards I literally almost went and gave it to Truett because I wanted him to try it, and I felt so nauseous afterwards that I was like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm a good father. I'm a good father. I am a good father.
So you see the Metaverse doing some big things though in the future?
Potentially, they need to position it in a way that allows ease of access. And right now, they've just put that barrier of entry so high.
Whether it's called Metaverse or somebody else takes it to
Yeah.
alternate.
Ready Player One.
Well, they
Ready
have.
Player One.
I mean, they have one thing that's interesting is part of the metaverse is allows you to create your like meta hue, you know, so you can design this person to look however you want them to look, and then you can
Catfish.
exactly. Well, yeah, but then you can port that into, let's say, Twitch. So now you can have someone like Ninja
Dang.
who does a thing with Meta where he creates himself in this VR world, and since it's this metaverse, you can pre-program it to if then statements are always possible with code. So if I do this amount of subs or if I do this amount of kills in this game, then my avatar changes this, or you donate X amount of dollars and my avatar changes this. And so there's huge potential for growth, but it's just a matter of someone like me is not going to jump in on that until it becomes a lower barrier. You have people that are buying like apartments in the metaverse for like $2 million.
What?
It's like, yeah,
That's real? That's going on right
yeah.
now?
You it's like 30 Bitcoin and you get an apartment in the
So it's like an
metaverse.
NFT style thing?
Kind of.
Yeah.
And it's
Wow.
just like that's cool and all, but I'm not going to be a part of that.
I remember when I gave my daughter like $20 to buy a house on Roblox.
Yeah.
And you got
I
people
did not
buying them
do
for
that.
$2 million in the metaverse.
It's crazy. And people are doing it. That's the thing. People are buying those properties.
You're talking $2 million like real dollars, or
Yeah, like Bitcoin.
$2 million worth of
They're
Bitcoin.
spending Bitcoin and they're buying property in the metaverse. And it's like apartment complexes in the metaverse. And you can change also that in the future when the metaverse does grow and people start quote unquote living there.
Yeah.
they get rent from you?
Yeah, they can rent from you. You can live there, so your avatar lives there, and you can get mail there. So like email.
Can we just talk about the fact that someone has spent $2 million on a virtual reality home, and there's people that can't even buy a $100,000 house in reality? That is
Are there
insane.
credit checks in the metaverse?
$2 million.
Do they check your
It's
credit
crazy.
to buy this
Wow.
home? That's
Yeah.
probably why they're buying it. Because for so long, I was just like denied. If
Well,
I
no,
could
like-
jump into metaverse, just buy a home, I'd feel really good about myself. I just bought a $2 million home.
Yeah, just making it rain dollar
Here,
bills
look.
off your balcony.
Here it is right here.
So you can't come to it, but you can look at this picture.
Yeah.
I know like Adidas, maybe Nike, and I think Under Armour are doing like NFT shoes now, where if you buy their pair of like physical shoes, it has an NFT token or whatever it is, and then you can put that into digital form. You probably in the metaverse, you're walking around in the exact same pair of Adidas that you just bought.
Have you played with NFTs at all?
So I've dabbled in them in terms of just like looking. I'm never gonna buy one, but in terms of looking at them, and I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Because essentially what you're purchasing is a bit of code that says you own this Google Drive link, and that's it. And there's already like, Pirate Bay when we, there's already Pirate Bay for NFTs where people are like, no, I actually own that because I just pirated it. Because essentially your image was just a Google Drive link.
Yeah.
And I have it. So
They are starting to make a little more sense to me for some of the stuff that they're talking about. So let's say, I know that they just did, like Disney just came out with NFTs. I know UFC just came out with NFTs.
Budweiser has NFTs.
Yeah. So what they're talking about is like, let's say you own the original Mickey Mouse, or, if, for your UFC fans out there, like an Anderson Silver NFT, who's like a super famous Hall of Famer UFC fighter. So if you have that Mickey Mouse, now you get to go 10 times a year to Disney for free with all your family, or you get to go to UFC wise the last UFC event of the year for free, front row seats. They're starting to talk about if you own that, then you get benefits that go with it. Now that starts to make sense to me. I'm like, okay, there's something tangible that comes with it. But the picture of a monkey wearing sunglasses that sells for $480,000, that's just a picture. I'm just not intelligent enough to understand why someone's paying $480,000 for that.
The problem is regulation, because you have people like Gary Vee who will literally, Mr. Beast, I don't know if the YouTuber, he talks
YouTuber.
about it on podcasts where he's like, yeah, I'll get a call from Gary Vee, and I hop in a call with like 100 people, and Gary Vee is like, hey, purchase this NFT, and we're going to purchase it. And then they purchase it. And then every single one of those big influencers start pushing it heavily on all of their platforms, showcasing it. And of course that's going to drive up price because now all of their followers are buying into it and listening to them. And they got in at the bottom floor, and now they sell at this high price.
Right.
And so the problem with since there's no regulation in the NFT market, the pump and dump schemes that have been happening are just incredible, and they're prolific. And so now you got people that are dumping money into these JPEGs essentially that they're like, yeah, no, I heard from so and so that I trust that it's going to go up, and then 20 days later, what they paid $500 for is worth 5 cents because the person who bought it at the ground level, who pumped it, they just sold everything and walked
Well, that just
away.
happened with, I think Kim Kardashian and Floyd Mayweather are getting sued for cryptos. Ethereum Max is what it was called. Like they inflated the price, shot up, and then, they took the profit, they dumped it, and everyone else went down with it and all their money. So
Like, I don't even, it's kind of over my head a little bit. What's the difference in like a crypto, like cryptos and NFT? Like, I don't really know.
I mean, both of them work on the blockchain basis, and it's this like complex algorithm, all that stuff. But essentially, crypto, and I might be stupid, so feel free to shout me out for being stupid. Crypto works the same as NFTs in the terms of this is all digital. It all works on the blockchain, except for the NFT, you get an image. Crypto, you have a token essentially.
Gotcha.
and you're using that token to buy that NFT
Yeah.
and then sell it. So like you do use dollars because you got to buy Ethereum, whatever that's at right now. Like one Ethereum could be $5,000. It's like a currency exchange, right? So like $1 to the British pound, it's probably like 130, right? So then you use that Ethereum to buy that NFT, and then you sell that NFT, get more Ethereum back, hopefully, if it doesn't get dumped. And then but the thing is like, let's say you buy Ethereum at $1, right? You just buy one, and then you go and you buy an NFT for $1, and then you sell that NFT for $2, but then the Ethereum price has dropped to 25 cents. Well, then you didn't make any money. And that's about as much as Shane kind of understands about cryptos.
I'm just curious. So like, okay, we'll go back to the side of like buying a house for $2 million in the metaverse. Like, then all of a sudden you're even talking like, you don't think the metaverse is going to survive. Like it's just going to fail. So these people putting $2 million into a house in the metaverse, like, is it like feel like a scam? Is it like what happens if
I mean, it's a gamble essentially for them. But if you're operating at that level, then I mean, the people that are buying the $2 million houses in the metaverse, that's not a lot to them.
Yeah.
So, and then they always, I mean, you always have, especially at that level, you always have backup plans.
Yeah.
Sell it when you can, and that's another thing. I mean, with that potential of growth, and with there being no regulation, there's nothing to stop. Let's say Facebook sets up this meta campaign where you can buy this meta apartment and say, this is all about to crumble.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can stop them. So that person can then just turn around and sell it for 1.7 million, make most of their money back, and then leave someone else holding the bag. So that's why I stay away, just because I'm like, there's so many get rich quick, hey, buy this thing and we're going to pump it. And I mean, but I was also the guy that like had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at like $40, and I was like, this is going to go nowhere.
Yeah.
And then now I'm sitting here looking like a fool.
Like, dang it.
I had the opportunity.
Dang it, Augie.
I had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin at like a ridiculously low amount. I had whatever the price was, I want to say in 2011. I had a friend of mine that was like, oh, there's this thing where you can, of course he was using it shadily, you can buy whatever you want over the internet and it can't be tracked. I was like, what? How is that a thing? Like, oh, there's this thing called Bitcoin. And I don't remember what the price was at the time, but I just know that I had like a couple $1,000s to spend. I ended up investing it in the stock market, not Bitcoin. And if I had invested it, and then when it first hit like that 20,000 before it dumped back down, I think it was like 166 million. But you can sit there and say that, but would I have really held it to 166 million? No. I probably would have made like 10 grand and been like, yeah, I'm out.
I mean, I remember the donut hole here in town used to, you could buy your donut with Bitcoin.
What?
Yeah. And they had like a Bitcoin machine there that you could put in your code or whatever your and you could buy your donuts with Bitcoin, and then the owner went bankrupt. And it's like, if he would have held on to just the Bitcoin alone.
Yeah.
But you look back at those moments and you're like, well, why did you not hold on to that?
Yeah.
Well, of course you're not.
You can always do that to yourself.
It's going to go to 40,000.
Yeah.
Because even if you get it to the number you said it could be right now, you'd be like, you'd pull it.
Yeah.
And then in 5 years, you're like, dang it.
Oh yeah.
Could have bought a $2 million house in the Metaverse.
You can do that. You can say, like, oh, it would have got to 166 million. Then it tanked back down to like 6K. Right. But then if you'd held it even longer for like another 2 years or 3 years or whatever it was, then it went up to like 65,000. I mean, I don't even know the math. It probably would have been like $1 billion that I could have made. You can always do the what if.
There was, I haven't played much at all in the Metaverse side of things, but there's this, the other night I was literally like entering these other worlds. It was like, I think it's like you have to download this app, and it's like Alt VR or something like that. And so that allows you to basically attend virtual events. So you could, like, Billie Eilish was a big one. So you could buy your ticket and attend Billie Eilish live.
Yeah.
I was like, what does this even look or feel like? Like, I did not buy tickets to Billie Eilish.
I've seen Billie Eilish live, and I'd rather see it in virtual reality than in person. Just throwing it out there. It wasn't that great.
So I basically went, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. It gave me a tour of how to do things, here's what you do. You can actually take your controllers, and if you place them upside down beside you, it sees your hands. So all of a sudden it's your hands, not the controllers. So like you're literally like, it's literally my hands.
Yeah.
And so like I'm in, sorry, I keep saying that because it was mind blowing to me. I was like, so I went into this one world, and it was like a theater, and I'm just like walking around with nobody, right? So I'm just like, okay, maybe it's like only your friends, right? So if I had Shane on here and Noah on here, like we could just like meet up and we can hang out at the bar, and we can have a podcast at the bar. Like I was like, this is stupid. Yeah. Then I transported to like the trending world, and because there's like these things telling me where I could go. And I popped over to the trending world, and there's people everywhere, like little avatars floating around and talking. And as you get closer, you hear their actual voices like coming through, and they're just talking, having a conversation. Yeah. And so I went over, I'd go over to this group, and I was an awkward dude, just like, and I'm just like standing there. And they're just like, they were talking like something like Japanese or something. It was something like Asian. Yeah. And I'm just like, I just stayed there because it's kind of fun to listen to. Then I moved over here, and I could tell they were speaking Spanish. But then I moved to this group, and this one chick was like, this guy named Eric came up, and they're like, hi Eric, and like you can literally be like wave and whatever, and she waved. She's like, hi Eric, and so they're talking back and forth. He's like, hey, anything cool going on in here tonight? And she's like, well, I guess we're talking about being married to different wives, like multiple at the same time. And he's like, oh, is that all you guys talk about in here? Come on. And I'm like, what? So I'm in this group, and then this Asian guy comes over to me, and he's like, hi, Taylor. And I was like, I didn't want to talk. I was like mic shy or whatever. Because it's like 1 a.m. and I'm sitting down in my living room on the couch.
This doesn't sound weird at all.
Yeah, not at all.
It makes me think of the negative side of what this could do to society, right? Like I remember Chandler, my son, he's 5. I let him try out this little war. It was a kid's game, and all he's doing is like chopping wood, moving these little logs around. Then all of a sudden, some little kid comes up behind him with a stick. Excuse my French, and is like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And I was like, grab the headset off of his head, like, give me that. But like what it could do to, I just picture like Wall-E, have you seen Wall-E?
Yeah.
Like on the ship, everyone's like 400 pounds floating around on these little watching TV. Like, I just feel like it's in a world that's already getting locked in, quarantined, less people going to the gym and doing all that. I just picture people sitting on their couch all day. The only reason they take it off is to reach over for potato chips, shove them in the face, and get back into their virtual reality. I mean, do you feel like there's going to be like that those big negatives to it as well?
100%. I mean, in terms of like the kids, anything that is built for kids always gets overrun by trolls at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you knew, if there was like Club Penguin just got destroyed by people being Nazis, and I don't know if you know the meme, like pools closed. There was this old video game that kids all played, and everyone showed up in like suits with afros, and they shut the pool down so no kid could play the game. And
What?
Yeah. And so I mean that's like back in early 2010s.
Right.
And so now you set up a whole VR world where you're gonna have people that just want to live in it. Because realistically, you know, it's a vice. It's an escapism tactic.
You can be someone else.
Exactly. Be someone else, be somewhere else, experience. And especially once they start, I mean, they have Omni tracks now that allow you to walk in the VR world and feel that. But now, you know, you just keep adding those layer of senses. Add your smell, add your feel of wind on your skin or something. Just by simple fans producing stuff. And then next thing you know, you're sitting there and you're like, wow, I feel like I'm in the rainforest actually. And I don't want to leave this for 5 hours because this is cool. And so there's going to be those people that have that escapism, and then there's going to be those people that utilize it for just
The worst.
attacking people. That's always going to come. We as a human society will never escape that.
Right.
It's gonna be like, I think it's Total Recall, where they have like the little sex pods. They just, you sit in it and like there's no one in there but you and virtual reality. Just all the senses.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the movie Gamer. It's where like they take prisoners and you can control the prisoners or whatever. But the other side of that is you can just control a different person. And throughout the movie, there's this guy that's like 450 pounds who's playing this like girl.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah. And he like drinks the vodka to get the car to work and stuff.
Yeah. And it's like, there's going to be some real creeps, especially in VR.
Absolutely. You can make yourself look however. So you like roll up to somebody and they're just like, they're a chick, they're whatever. And you're just, that's kind of freaky.
That is. I'm not like
it's kind of like, I always think, and this is like next level, but I always think of the Black Mirror episode where they're like VR, two best friends, they're VR and they're in like Mortal Kombat type of vibe.
Oh, that's a good episode.
And then they end up like hooking up.
And
They see each other.
It's gonna be me and you, dude. We're gonna be in VR together, and all of a sudden you're gonna tell me a story about. You're like, last night, dude. This chick, Shayna, was just amazing, and I was like, oh, bro, that was me.
That was Shayna.
My plan worked. So back to what you do. What are some super cool projects that you've been on recently that you can tell us about?
So I got to do my first big photo shoot recently, and that was just such an eye-opening experience to see people from all across the country get together, coordinate this massive 450 outfit shoot where we've got 20 people, we've got box trucks full of clothes, and we've just got to get to the locations. We're coordinating with different location managers to figure out where are we shooting at, what location, like inside that location, and then what does our talent look like, so that we can like plan. I mean, the pre-production process for that shoot took about 2 months.
Wow.
Of every day, the core team, we would meet and just like, here's what we're thinking. Here's this guy's got a mustache. We don't want that vibe. This guy's got, and just meeting and getting so into the detail.
Yeah. Poor mustache dude. Just like, get out of here. You stupid mustache. I just grew one. Everyone hating on the mustaches.
But that way, when we like hit the ground, and it was so smooth. It was butter. From the second the camera started rolling, it was perfect. And looking back, it was just because we devoted so much time to it. So that was like the coolest recent thing that I got to do, was just see that whole behind the scenes I mean, we knew we had a color correct product that was, this was navy and we need it to be black, and we also need it to be gray in some shots. And so like planning the shots so that the color corrected product could be in the situation, so that the editor on the back end, it was like, oh, I'm not gonna have too close of a color where I'm having to really like fine tune it.
Yeah.
Planning at that level, it just real top down approach was super cool.
How long does the shoot end up being?
Shoot was only 4 days,
Wow.
10-hour days. And I mean, we took, I think on average, like 6,000 photos per day.
Wow. A lot of
And
photos.
just going through them. And then now we're in the process of making selects and paring that down. And the photographers made their selects, what they think are the best. And then now we've got our creative director who's making their selects from the selects these are going to be our like top quality. And then those hit the editing table.
Is that systematic style was something that I just, as a photographer, a beginner, I would go out and, a model would be like, hey, can we shoot? And, yeah, sure. And we go out and what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Oh God. So let's just be creative on the spot.
Yeah.
Right. And then started getting more into like the corporate photography and videography as Valhalla was growing. And at first when we'd get all that, well, we're going to be at this hour, we're going to do this. And then we'll take 15 minutes and then we'll do this. And then we're thinking, these are the 12 suits, like choose 3 out of these. Like it was annoying at first until I showed up for the first ever one after that. Everything was just so smooth. Like it was amazing. We just did a really good corporate one yesterday and we were all running and on probably like 4 hours of sleep because we had something Friday, Saturday, and it was like, and then Sunday morning and then Sunday afternoon was the shoot. But the agency that we were working for had already pre-planned everything. There was going to be 3 suits. There was 2 lawyers that we were taking photos of. Both had 3 suits there. So all I had to do was make a selection of 3. Yeah. Like, okay, we're going to go with this one for him, this one for him. Boom. We knew exactly what the backdrop was going to be. We knew what the lighting was supposed to be. We knew the colors we were going for. Like everything was so systematic that even on 4 hours of sleep, I felt like you could basically do it in your sleep.
Yeah.
And for something that kind of annoyed me the first time I ever did it, now if I've done it with a few other agencies that are very unorganized and I'm just like, I don't know if I'd want to work with them again because you get used to it and it is beautiful. And then I feel like on the post side, when it comes to the editing and picking the selects, it's like a time saver. You don't have to put as much effort in on the post as long as you put in that effort in on the pre.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I thought it was dumb. Like I would be sitting in meetings and just being like, all right, we're talking about the Navy pants again. Like we get it, Navy on this. And then to turn around and then see like, oh, we did that because that saved us making these stupid mistakes on set. Saved hours.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty crazy though.
There's a lot that goes into like just that pre side. And I feel like in the beginning, like you said, when we started, it's kind of like just winging it. Like, I feel like, or at least me personally, I think you did too. Like we kind of got started in that like model side of things. Like, so you're working with a lot of like models on the side.
And let's be honest, like
models.
Yeah, we're no offense, but there weren't a lot of like legitimate models.
Yeah.
Now they were,
there were a handful that were killing it,
there were, but some people just wanted to be behind a camera.
Yeah,
and that's nothing
it's
against
like me
them.
saying
They just
I want to be a model, or I am a model.
It's like which you have.
Shane is the only one who
modeled.
thinks I am a model.
You have modeled for me, but they weren't. I guess the best way to say it is they weren't agency trained. They didn't grow up doing it, And a lot of them were really good behind the camera after they warmed up to and stuff. But that natural, like, just know what to do. Like you hear a shutter a couple times, you're moving to this direction. You hear a shutter a couple times, you're moving here, boom, boom, boom. There was not a lot of that. So, but that's definitely just like that. That's kind of where we started, which I think also helped because it helped with our creativity because we had to be like, we'll do this and do that.
And they would send most of them that I worked with, and some of them were great to work with, some of them were harder to work with, but they would send like, hey, here's these 3 outfits, here's options, and then you can speak into that based on the aesthetic you're going for. Anybody who knew that they were working with me, they knew they were wearing grayscale. It was either black, gray, or black. And so I don't know. It's interesting to think through like the whole process, and we've been dealing a lot more with that. You obviously are heavy into that, like thinking through every single step. Like I'm a lot about process and like thinking about. There's so many things we do where I'm just like, we need a process for this.
Yeah.
This thing. I was talking to Augie today, or we had the same thought today, but like having just organization of like, this is where the batteries live. This is where this lives. Like. Right now, where you see it right now, the world doesn't see it, but it's a half-built studio, and there's no carpet or concrete paint or barn doors, or the receptacles are still not replaced, but it's one of those things that it kills me a little bit. Like literally, I was having OCD issues because the HDMI cable is like all tangled up over there, and but it's just like it's one of those things that I love that process of like making things look like be clean, organized from the beginning. Even just like the shoot we did today, I tried something I've never tried before, and I actually labeled each camera as that shoot. And I've never done that. Aaron Datu did that on my camera one time, and so forever it said ADT, Aaron Datu Films, ADT or ADF, sorry, Aaron Datu Films.
You got it.
ADF. And then it had a space. It said Cam A, and then he had something after that, or like maybe the date. Yeah. And so for a while, I'm like shooting all my stuff, and all of them were labeled ADF Cam A. So today I was like setting up our cameras this morning, and I labeled it out as the job name, and I was like, because like I don't know if you like so like. And like Mac doesn't recognize 10-bit footage. It just shows up as QuickTime. And so you can't preview it or anything like that. So then I have to drop it into a program to see what clip it is. Well, if it's labeled,
you're good to go.
It's good to go.
Yeah, no, I remember that because you would always send me video files, and I just would be like, yeah, that looks good. And I would just never review it.
Were you working on, I can't remember now. Were you working on a Mac or a PC?
I was Mac.
Okay.
Yeah, and you would edit everything in Final Cut, and I was always Premiere Pro, and so you would edit something, and then you would shoot it to me to do the After Effects, and I'd be like, I don't even know what I'm looking at until I import it in, and I put it in. I'd just be like, is that the color we wanted to go? It's too much of a hassle to change it, so we're just going with what Trickle wanted, and then I start the After Effects.
That's an interesting, like working in different programs. Like we've gotten pretty consistent. Like all of us work in DaVinci now, and like our cameras work really well with DaVinci, and especially the Blackmagic cameras.
Yeah, it's kind of designed for that.
But yeah, it's just like even like that workflow is always so interesting. And I feel like we're like learning every single day because it's like we're working on the Sonys. We got 3 Sonys up right now, and that's based on we were trying new things over here with Augie, and that didn't work out. And
we'll learn, and we got another podcast in 2 days, and it will be a little bit better, and some stuff will break, and
it's
all a process.
It's like the world we live in, though. It's like there's never like I said earlier, like we never made it, but it's like there's always another level of like, well, let's add this now. Like we've been talking about like the live stream world, like stepping into what does it look like to live stream even the podcast, but live streaming the podcast is kind of scary.
It is. I mean, we've had really smooth ones. The last one we did, it was like nothing really went wrong. The one before that, the one with Augie, the first one was a few things. This one's had its issues. You just go with the flow. But it does bring me to a question on like the bigger shoots, right? So we have a hard drive that has a lot of stuff on it right now that kind of took a dump, and we've almost got it back. Like, what kind of measures do they have for, very big national brand stuff too? Because, it doesn't matter how expensive your SD card is, how expensive your hard drive is. Like there's just, in our industry, there's errors.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that you bring this up because this was super dope. And shout out Morgan. Morgan, I'm going to shoot you the link so you're going to see it, boy. This dude was sitting in a camper, and so the photographer would shoot a certain look, and then he would take his SD card out, and then he would run it to Morgan, and Morgan would plug it into his computer, but his computer was set up to run as a virtual port to a computer back in the hotel room. So everything he did on the computer in the camper was being copied to the computer back in the hotel room. So then you have a copy of all photos, obviously on the SD card. He immediately backs it up to a hard drive on that computer, which backs it up to another hard drive on the computer back in the hotel. So now we've got 3 backups, and then that SD card is not used for anything else. So we've got 3 backups for that. And then once he was doing his process and he gets done, then he backs everything up to like their server.
Yeah.
And so at night, he would just export everything to the server. So now we've got 3 backups to make us through the day. And then at night, we have 4th one added with the server. And
That's
so
amazing.
That's how we go through it. And especially when you're shooting that much photography, you want that much backup.
We need that. How much is that? Price it out for
I
me.
think you can get like a server for like 15 grand.
Oh, that's not bad. It's like hair off my arm.
Augie, can you bring that in tomorrow? 15.
Yeah, 15K, bud.
It's not bad.
Yeah. But no,
He looks at us like, huh?
But I've always wondered that because there's been a few times that we've had issues. One time we did a bunch of really cool shots for McConnell Law Firm, and all of a sudden there's just these black and white stripes down the photos, and you can see like this much of the face, and we had to suck it up. We had to pay for makeup and everything again, go back, reshoot, and they were super understanding. They're still a client of ours today, and so that's what brought us to get the NAR box.
Yeah.
Not sponsored. And again, we should use it, but we don't. But there's always things that happen. Mm-hmm. Oh no, a hard drive's gone bad. So I'm like, I wonder how the big dogs do it. But to know that some dude's running an SD card, uploading that to a hard drive / computer that's running it to another computer that's in a hotel room that's also got a hard drive attached to it.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I mean, but when you're at that level of what they're doing, when you're taking 6,000 photos per day,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's scary.
that's what you do.
is there other stuff that you've seen that you just had no idea goes on?
So I thought one thing that was really cool, if you remember when we were shooting commercials, you bought that display so that while we're filming, I could be standing back looking for specific things. Well, our second photographer had that for his photos, but he had a guy sitting back, and as they're taking pictures, it's coming through to his iPad. So he's just looking at his iPad as he's taking photos and just being like, no, the lighting's off. Like, you're not going to like this in editing. And so he would run out to the photographer then and be like, you're going to need to switch this. Like, and so they're making these like short changes on the fly. And I thought that was cool because then it freed him up from being corded to the camera, and he could walk over. We could be talking about the next shot, the next scene, and he's just got a subtle glance, and he'll be like, oh, I got to run, and he'll run off to give him a note of, man, that angle was cool, but like the dude's underwear was hanging out. So
we just added that, probably not as technical as they did. So I'm tethering to a laptop, and then I'm airdropping that screen display, screen sharing it to an iPad. So it was really cool. Like yesterday's shoot, and then today on the headshots, like we have one of the owners is walking around showing it to the lady that's printing the magazine cover and all that. And like, what do you think about this one? And then scrolling through, and what about this? Well, if you see here, like there's a crease on his shirt, if we can have his shoulders come back more. And that was just something that, honestly, it was done because I hate taking photos and then you have that person there that is, going to use that product, use that photo, and they're looking over your shoulder at your mini screen.
Yeah.
Like, it's really uncomfortable,
Yeah.
And so I was talking to Taylor, and I'm like, what's the best way that we can stop that from happening? Well, let's look into tethering. And then, but one thing I learned through the tethering process is you can actually, and of course this wouldn't be good for like an outside shoot. Maybe you can do it digitally, like Bluetooth, I don't know, but you can take a photo, you can edit that photo really fast, and then set that as your preset. So then the next few photos that you take, it imports with that to exactly how you want it. I know that Capture One apparently is like better than Lightroom, which is what I use to do that. But I thought, that's crazy. You can take a product, you can even like set the lighting on the right side of the product, put a gradient on it to ensure that that's lighter. And then as soon as you take the second one, it imports that way.
That's cool.
And it's technology is just
Well,
nuts.
you bring something up which I think is important in the photo shoot space of like my entire job throughout the photo shoot was just being the barrier from the person that's going to use the photo going up to the photographer and saying, well, can I see that picture? Can we change this slightly? Just because they have great intentions, but they don't know.
Right.
And
How
so,
do they take that?
So they actually, I mean, they take it well, but you have to have somebody that like, you have to have a good relationship with them in order, you know, I spent the day talking about hockey and kids and all of that sort of stuff with these people. And then every now and then, if they had something that I thought was, hey, that's a really good call out, we should probably hit the photographer with it, then I would run it to them. But having that break off, because if you're in the zone and you're taking the photos and you're seeing something that you want to capture and grab onto, it doesn't help to have someone come over your shoulder and say, oh, there was a slight crease. Can you?
Yeah.
You're like, shut up. Like, I'm in the zone right now. So I think that's important, even if it's just someone else on the crew that's just like, hey, I'm gonna run interference. And I think that's I thought it was a dumb job when I got there, and they're like, hey, your whole job is interference. And then once I started seeing like, man, if someone talks to the photographer, he's off and he's like annoyed, you pulled him out of a shot, he lost his angle, he's, you know, and it's like, no, this is like, someone needs to do this.
And as a photographer, I can tell you that at first it was annoying, but you do miss so much stuff. Like when you're taking a photo, like you're ensuring that not only especially if it's of a person or even a product, you know, like the logo is perfectly, you know, in focus, right? That's peaking. It's, you know, like we're talking about this camera right here. Like I've got the Sony is in focus. The Zeiss logo right there is in focus. The A is like, everything is perfect. The lighting's good, but there could be a hair hanging off of it.
Yeah.
Like it would be annoying to me at first, but then I'm like, I can't see everything. And now I'm taking this photo. I'm like, this is an amazing shot. Well, there's a crease in the shirt. Yeah, I completely missed that. Yeah, let's get that out of there. Because at the end of the day, I can fix that in post, but it's going to take me time. So if we just get it done, I think that was what helped me welcome it, was the amount of hours in post that I was removing stray hairs doing this. And especially when it went from, you know, just going and hanging out with, you know, models. And if I give her one photo, cool. If I give her 10, cool. But then now I'm getting paid to give you at least 100 photos. So I got to go in and edit 100 photos in post to get rid of this crease from the, I'd much rather be called out in the beginning. And then I don't have to touch it in post whatsoever. Like that is perfect. So
I've
highly
definitely
welcome
been even like seeing on set. And I'm like, I see something, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want to hurt their feelings. Because surely they would notice that if it's a big thing.
Yeah.
I'd struggle with that a lot. And like we have the relationship where I could call out anything, and you and I are that same way. Like, you know, that's gonna be a pain later. Like we're not. So yeah, I know it's like an awkward thing, but it's also like necessary for sure.
You got any big projects coming up?
The next photo shoot we're doing sounds like it's in Alaska. Ooh. So I'm prepping for, like, we're starting to prep for that one. The gears are slowly turning on our end in terms of like, what are we going to be capturing? You know, all of that stuff. And so we're meeting internally about what went good with this one that we can flow into the next one, because you know, this was a very good process. So how do we start that now? And so the hardest part is moving product. Like it's a 4-day drive to where we'd be going, and I'm not sitting in a U-Haul for 4 days.
4-day drive?
Yeah.
Okay, that took me a minute. I was like,
I thought he was about to say 4-day shoot. I'm like, oh, that ain't that bad. 4-day drive.
4-day drive from here to Alaska. But if you ship your product, you gotta put it all in boxes. You gotta ship it, hope it gets there. Once it gets there, you gotta steam it all. You got, you know, all the pre-production that you did, you now have to redo on set.
Okay, so you're driving from here. I was thinking like flying to Alaska, you got your gear, you're getting in, I don't know, like a G-Wagon, and you're driving into the snow, and it's just the terrain's so bad it takes 4 days. But still, I mean, 4-day drive, that's
I'm not
still
driving
rough.
for 4 days.
Yeah, no.
No.
Are you driving?
No, they.
Or are you riding?
I drove down to the last one and it was 8.5 hours, and that was horrible. So I don't want to do the 4-day drive.
No, only 4 days.
But if the client comes and says we don't want to ship, like we need hands-on 100% accountability, like that's my job. All right, cool. 4 days, get the road trip map going, and better have good tunes.
Are you still wanting a job there?
I'll take it. I mean, brings me to the point of, I mean, you obviously have an extremely interesting job. What are the kind of like the prerequisites to do something like that? Do you need a certain experience with certain software, or just, I don't want to say life experience, but business experience? What do you need to actually do that job?
I don't know. Like, to be honest, they hired me because of my marketing background, because I understand like what goes from concept creation to full ideation, like all of those, and every step in between.
Yeah.
I understand that, and they hired me for that. But I mean, that's not to say that's what they're looking for. It's a relational based situation, and if you just have the capacity to understand that there's these tasks and you need to learn how the things are done. Obviously, marketing background helps, business background helps. We hire people, and then it's kind of a grace, patience, kindness situation of we're going to get you to where you need to go. It's going to be a little bumpy while you're learning, but hey, that's life.
Yeah.
So let's learn it. And so yeah, I mean, everyone there has a degree or pretty dang close to a degree, or they've got a lot of experience in the marketing world, but they're not specifically saying like, oh, you've got to understand how this process works. Because I mean, I walked in day one and I was like, listen, I've gone from this is nothing to here's this full commercial, and I don't know how to do this job. And they're like, okay, cool. Like, you're going to suck at it for a bit, but like, we'll get you there.
Do you have a degree in marketing?
I do.
Okay.
I do. But mine's like the lowest level of marketing.
Would you
degree
say you
possible.
still would have got that job without that degree in marketing?
I think so, yeah.
Because that's like a common theme on here for anyone that's regular, which I don't even know if we have regulars yet. But I'm very much, I believe that you can do a lot of things in this world without school, without going to college. I mean, we have a whole team of people that, I mean, have degrees, but not even in the things that we now do, right? We talk about being self-taught. So you think that basically just life experience, work experience, everything would have got you that job?
I think so. Because then when I mean, they never asked me what my degree is.
That's
and
cool.
If you look at like, if anyone in the marketing world was be like, what's your degree, man? You do marketing. Essentially, I know how to write a tweet really well.
Yeah.
Like, that's my degree. So it's just not a good marketing degree, but it checks that box. And that's not to say you can't get anywhere in the world without it in terms of like working for agencies or, but it for me, it opened the door to say like, while I don't have a ton of experience in your agency, but I've got the degree and I've got some experience in a marketing world, I think I can fit into this position.
Did they scout you, or did you look for it? Yeah.
That's what's crazy. I've never had it happen. Like the CEO of the company hit me up on LinkedIn. And was
LinkedIn.
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 Was just like,
It's real, people.
Yeah.
It works.
he was like, what do I got to do to get you in a room? And that was it.
How did you ever ask, or did he explain like how he found you on LinkedIn? Because that's a very interesting thing for anyone that's out there that is trying to put themselves out there to grow professionally, get a really good job. We've got people all over LinkedIn with suits and stuff. Like, I didn't know that you could just get recruited through there. I mean, I know that they talk about that. You're the first case I've heard where it legitimately works. We've got a few jobs through LinkedIn as the media company, but I don't think I've ever been offered a job through there.
I mean, a lot of it I think had to do with my vet status. I mean, that like helps a ton. But he just hit me up and he was like, you sound like you're an interesting person.
Wow.
From like what I've written, and I don't post on LinkedIn, but like I write my job descriptions.
Yeah.
And he's like, you just sound like someone that's got an interesting life, and so we want to talk to you. And I think it was like 3 interviews before they just offered me a job. And
I need to look at your LinkedIn now.
It was just crazy. It was a whirlwind of like, I wasn't looking, and then they hit me up, and then it was like, it sounded too good to be true. And I mean, I'm extremely blessed to be at this company. I haven't even been there a year, but it feels like so much longer. And yeah, they hit me up, and I was just like, if everything you say is true, I'll leave where I'm at and I'll come. And everyone I talked to was just like, everything they say is true. Everything they say about them is true. And so far, I haven't found a single lie.
My dumbass would have deleted it, been like, "This is a scam.
Yeah.
Get out of here." Nope.
Did it cross your
Delete.
mind at all? Like, this is just like, no, they're
Too good?
Yeah, too good to be true.
It crossed my, because everyone says like we're an innovative place and we're all about company culture. Like everyone says those buzzwords, right?
Right.
We're like the opposite.
Like, welcome to our basement, where we put lights in random places and see if it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't believe it, and I thought it was a scam. I thought it was a lie, and then I once I started talking to him, especially the owner, the CEO, I was just like, this is amazing, the vibes I'm getting in terms of, I mean, I was like, hey, I can't start. I want to go on vacation, and they're like, oh, we don't care. Go get out of here. Go have fun. And I was like, that's cool. Like right away, I'm asking you to like hold off on all your plans for me, and you're like, yeah, no problem.
That is. I just can't believe that it's linked in. All the stories are true. It works. But you said your vet status, right? So you serve Army, Air Force?
Yeah, I was Army. I did 3.5-ish years infantry. I did a school drop to get out early. And then I was out for like 6 months before I just joined the reserves. I went from infantry to counterintelligence work.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I decided.
Come on, Augie. Dang it, Augie.
That producer role. It's already fired.
It's a hard knock life.
So you're saying infantry into CI, and then is it just something that you eventually you're just like, this isn't for me, or?
It was kind of a two-edged sword, like coming from the infantry world and then going into reserves. Like you just don't, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere near the same. So it scratched the itch that I needed.
Yeah.
And then being in the reserves, I just got tired of like one weekend a month.
That.
Yeah. So, and I was like, now that I'm out, like I want to grow the beard. I want to have a beer on Tuesday and not pass the PT test. And
it's got to be hard. The like you said, you kind of get like so much of that civilian world that now it's like, wait, you're telling me that I just had 3 weeks of doing whatever I want to do, and then all of a sudden now I've got to go ahead and report for the weekend. Like
It was frustrating, especially because when I would put the uniform on, I'd go back into the headspace of, this is the Army. Like you don't walk and talk on your phone. Get your hands out of your pockets. Put your PC away when you need. Like I'm a stickler for rules when I get into it. And then I'd go and it'd be like, that's a full bird colonel walking in like half uniform, talking on the phone down the middle of the hallway, and just internally I would just hear myself just be like, the hell are you doing here, man?
It's bad, right? They got hair hanging over their ears, and which is not okay. Now the Air Force has changed to where you can have your hands in your pockets. You can walk and talk on your cell phone. You can put like spacers in your ear. There's extra like 3 inches of bulk that you're allowed with your hair. Girls can have their hair down. I mean, it is changed dramatically.
I just couldn't do it. So I was like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
And plus work, it would interfere. They'd always, hey, you got to come in for your 2 weeks of drill. And it's like, at least where I was at, that wasn't possible.
Yeah.
So
I feel like you said your vet status, you felt like it helped. I think we talked about this maybe on the last podcast, or it might have been the second one, episode 2, where I feel like experience is valued over education now. And I've definitely noticed a lot of people getting out of the Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, that they get into a lot of jobs that used to require education, but now businesses seem to value that experience, because when you're in the Army, especially, infantry, or really anything you do in the military, especially past a certain rank, now you're in that management, leadership, innovation. And so you said that, you felt like the vet status helped. Was that something that was kind of like mentioned, that they like to bring vets into their culture because of the skills that you learn in the military?
Yeah, well, they're a really pro-vet organization. Not like in hiring process, there's a few of us there, but in terms of organizations that they support, massive pro-vet. And, the agency I'm with right now, we do a lot with hunting and guns and all that stuff. So, when they brought up like, are you good around guns? It's like, yeah, of course.
And shoot the wings of a fly from a mile away.
So that status was pretty easily there. But then the understanding of what I lacked in education, they knew because of my background that I would quickly make up for it just through the sheer determination, based upon their experiences. So they could throw me into a fire and say, the situation sucks. We don't know how to fix it. Can you fix it? And I would just be like, "Rah," until I get it fixed. So that's they don't do that to everyone, but it was just I like to tell them, like, I was a good multi-tool that you needed. I wasn't the best tool for the job, but I was good enough to get the job done.
It's a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Master of none.
But what was it? Jack of all trades, master of none, but a master of some. There's more to it. I know there is, but we'll look it up. I feel like the job that you're explaining, the company you're explaining, after my 20 years, 4 years is left, I'm just going to come and slide over to...
You're not doing that at all.
I'm just
I actually came here to recruit.
So. Sign me up, CEO, if you're watching.
Can we just
20 years of service.
Like, Augie, can you cut the cameras?
It seems like a really cool gig, and I won't mention the other company that you worked at because I don't want to get sued, but obviously know a lot about their culture from Taylor, and it seems like a massive change in culture, probably organization, just better people management. Your CEO sounds like he's super cool.
Dude's dope.
Yeah, so it's got to be amazing for you, and I mean, I'm assuming your family too. You coming home, maybe still stressed, but a different kind of stress. A better stress.
Yeah, I got the 4 days after Christmas off, like the time between Christmas and New Year's. I got that off, which to like the normal person doesn't sound crazy, but from like our world, you don't leave your desk like that. And when I asked for it, they were like, they said, you've got 2 weeks vacation before the year ends. Get the heck out of here. Go on that final week. And like I've been there at the time. I've been there 5 months. And they've already given me 2 weeks vacation, and now they're telling me to use it before I lose it. Yeah. And when I was like, this is the only time that works for my family, but I understand that most businesses don't allow you to have them off. And they're like, who the hell told you that? Get the hell out of here.
I'm sure that's from a military aspect too, because you're not, in the military, you got use or lose 30 days a year, right? But it is more of a request. I know in the Air Force, I don't know Army, I just know Air Force, it does take like a commander to deny you, but there is a culture underneath that commander with supervisors that you kind of make younger people feel like it is not necessarily something you're guaranteed, but it's a privilege, right? So you ask. So when you get out into the civilian world, those are the things that I'm sure confuse bosses, where you're like, well, is it okay if I take it? It's like, dude, you got 2 weeks. If you don't show up, I guess that's you're using your 2 weeks.
There was like 3 days before Christmas, and they found out that I hadn't used any of my personal time. So not vacation, but just personal time. And it was like 2 PM, and not even my boss, just someone else in the company in a leadership role saw it on a report, comes over to my desk and just closed my computer. I was like, get the hell out. You have hours. Go. Yeah. I don't want to see you today or tomorrow. And then she ran it up the flagpole to tell everyone I'm going home. And I stayed home. And I was like, what the heck is this? Yeah. Where you're prioritizing my family time. Right. I was like, that's dope.
That's like not much of what like the world really teaches at all. Yeah. Like if you're not like grind, like, sorry family, like, I'm the man of the house. Like I don't spend time with you. Like it's like that's so freaking common. And then like men don't know how to be fathers and
Yeah.
all
It's
that
an
comes
issue,
out of
and
it.
it's a mental health thing. You know, and when I became a supervisor, I've always kind of been about the people. It's the Air Force is going to be there if these people get in, or like whether they're there or not, right? The Army's going to be there, Marines, Navy. But one thing that I learned really fast, and it was somewhat by accident, I want to say it was like a lie, but it was a quick reaction, was I let someone have a day off. And it was quickly called out on it. And the person was having issues, and mental health right now in the military, I mean, in the world is just not the greatest, especially all the people that have been locked up, but for quarantine, not prison, and those in prison too. But, you know, Air Force, Army, you know, suicide is huge, and it sucks. And I've lost so many. How many times have I come to you and been like, I lost my buddy this month from suicide? It's terrible. So anyway, I was going on a tangent, but I was quickly asked, like, why did you let him go? And I don't know why, but it just sparked. I was like, just mental health day. And I realized really fast that that's a hard fucking thing to argue.
Yeah.
When you tell somebody that's a supervisor of you and you're supervising someone else, I let them have Tuesday off for a mental health day. They had things they needed to catch up on, and it was just taking a toll on them. And so I gave them, you know, 24 hours, go take care of you. Obviously, those places are closed on the weekend. They just needed time for them and their family. How are you going to argue that?
Yeah.
So I just started scheduling people that I could see were stressed for mental health. I literally put MH on the schedule. MH. And I didn't abuse it, you know, like you're here to work, you're in the military, we're not Amazon, you're not taking naps in pods, you know, at lunch and stuff. But
That's
if I
Google.
see, well, I'm pretty sure Amazon probably adopted that too. Their robots take naps. But yeah, that was kind of my way of trying to have a little bit of civilian life for them, because you do get that constant grind, especially most of my career has been overseas. So then overseas is, we're going to give you half the people, but you're going to do double the mission. So it's just go, and you'll be on a 4-year tour, and it's gone like that. And then you realize that you've got 3 kids, no wife, because you got a divorce because you've never seen them. Like divorce rate overseas, I'm pretty sure is like 70%. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. And then they wonder why your mental health is bad. Well, I've been at work for 16 hours a day for the past 2 years, and I just think it's really important, and it's good that your company is highlighting that to you, because if they didn't, you probably would not have used your personal things.
100%.
You know?
I was afraid.
Yeah. So you think you got a pretty, this is it for you? Like this is a career that you kind of want to stay in this direction? Is there room for growth from your current position?
Yeah, there's room for growth. But like, I know that's going to take a bit, and that's a really cool climb to think about.
Yeah.
I'm not on a rocket ship, I don't think. And I like that, because there's just such a fulfilled path ahead of me that I get to experience as I grow. But yeah, in terms of career path, agency-esque is definitely it for me. Just having the understanding of how this works, and having the understanding of working with clients and figuring out what's best for them, rather than being, you know, a sole responsible for something like this. That was too much pressure. If something goes bad, even if it's out of your control, it's on you. And in this world, if something goes bad, you know, there's a whole team of us to take ownership of our pieces of that pie. And so I don't feel like I have this rock on my back of you fix it or it's your fault.
Yeah.
So I like that world.
I imagine it would be hard for you to go back to, I don't want to say something lower, but imagine going to a spot where they're just not as organized, right? Like they're not planning for 2 months before a shoot. You go in, they're like, yeah, we're just going to do this thing on Tuesday, so just like have it ready.
I look back on us sitting there on like when we would shoot, and we would meet 30 minutes before we started shooting, and just be like, all right, here's a shot list.
Yeah.
And I look back and just think there's no wonder I was freaking out all the time.
Yeah.
Because how the hell did we do this to ourselves?
The first thing I think about is your drawings.
Bro.
We should have hired somebody for at least the drawing.
It's the most embarrassing thing to be like, here's So I'm a vision guy. I'll come up with the big ideas, and then to be like, I want this thing in this angle, but I can't put it on paper, so I just draw like little stick figures and then like an arrow of where I want Triggle's camera to go, and then every time I show it to him, he'd be like, this is hot garbage.
But the thing is there's a lot I watched. I can't remember who it is. It's a very big videographer. Maybe it was a photographer, and they're talking. It might have been like a commercial even too, which was even more shocking that it's this terrible. But they're talking about storyboarding, because that's something I've started to do, because I don't know what it is, but lately if I have an idea and I don't write it down, it's really hard for me to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's fear of forgetting or what, but I'm in this like weird creative space, which I'm sure will go away for a little bit as you go into like the ruts, but I have to write it down, and I'm embarrassed of my little stick figures that I write down I did a shot on this table of our gear, and I'm trying to draw little rectangles with circles in the middle for cameras of where they're going to go, and I'm trying to draw little triangle cone things for the lighting, and it just looks terrible.
Yeah.
But then I watched this professional, and they're doing it, and it's just little stick figures. Like, it's not storyboarding for an animated, Pixar. It's just these little tiny stick figures, and it gets the point across, and at least they remember what the idea was. So I guess that's what matters.
The idea was always there. It was just like, just because I have to give you crap. I was like, what is this over here? Oh, that's a door. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. Okay. He's walking through the door.
I did have to label a lot of my stuff, so I'd remember. I'd put like a line off of it, and it put light, just so I know what that symbol meant. But yeah,
there is so much, and it's like we would get in like creative plan out the month type of thing. We're writing on the window, and it's just like planning out, and those were our most like creative, and like there was like energy, like we were like feeling it, and like we work like that a lot. Like once we go like days in the studio working, planning, like there's just fire. And we're just like, bro, we got so much done today because we like actually made a plan to sit down, and it helps when you're really passionate about what's happening. And I think a lot of those projects were like, we had passion in all of those. And then there was just the ones like, oh, you just got to get it out because you have to do it. And you're like, why am I wasting, what I'm capable of on that? I do remember I was like, something popped up on my memories the other day when Cruz and I would do those like little like Fast and the Furious remake type things, and there was the one where we did like we pulled up in the parking lot. He's like here, and I pull up. Was like, nice ride. And do you remember that one?
No.
He said he didn't review your stuff, so.
He watched it enough to know that I was making videos, okay?
Yeah, if I saw it posted, and that was it.
And it was like he pulls up, and I pull up, and it was when we had like an old red T-Bird there at one point. You probably remember even that, but it was the old, I don't know what year it was, any old T-Bird convertible. He pulls up, I pull up, we both have convertibles, and I was like, nice ride. He's like, basically, let's race to the finish. And then we like take off, and then in post, I like sped it up to like 200% or something. So we look like we're driving like this, super slow, and it's like, and added sound effects and
put little smoke things in the back.
So, muffler, pop, 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 pop. And but we did things like that, and it was like, it wasn't obviously that wasn't part of our job or anything, but it was like a passion project on the side of like, I think we could do so much more than literally just like making dials.
Yeah.
And, for a while, like our team was like killing it. And I don't know what it was after I left because I pretty much was the star. So, but it's interesting when you like start making things that you're actually passionate about. And I don't know. Like that's something we struggle with a lot actually, is like, cause you can get caught up in like the client type of thing. Like you have to knock this out. You have this video is due by this date. But then there's those ones like I took literally at 1:30 in the morning the other night, I had an idea to take my Mini Cooper out into the cul-de-sac in the snow. My phone said it was -8 degrees. I don't know if that was felt like or was -8 degrees. I just remember I opened it up. The widget said -8. And I'm like, I'm still doing it. So I pulled the Mini out in the middle of the cul-de-sac. There's snow everywhere. I pulled this light that's above our head right now. and pull it out into this cul-de-sac, and I take the tube lights that are putting colors on the wall right now, and I just like put it in my Mini, and then I pop 2 smoke grenades.
Mind you, this is why all of the neighbors are sleeping. You know what I mean? Like
Everyone hates it. It's like,
Yes.
he's
I
out
always wonder what the neighbors think because, I mean, for one, you've got that at 1:30 in the morning. But it'll be like 4:30 when people are coming home, and we've got like people out in the driveway taking photos. At some point, we took drones and we're flying around out there. Your neighbors probably think we're absolutely insane.
Only the ones over here, like the ones over there, like Alan, and they know, like they know what I do.
They know what's up.
They do, and then
Alan knows.
David down there knows, you know.
Yeah.
But these guys, I've never talked to them in my entire life. Like they're over here. We don't even
talk
wave.
about Bruno.
Yeah.
No.
We don't talk about Bruno.
No, but I remember when like you guys first started this, I would get so jealous because we would be in this rut of creativity of how the heck do we say the same thing that we've said 32 times again? And then you would come to me. I specifically remember like the tequila brand that you guys were shooting.
Oh, Una Vida.
Yeah,
Not sponsored.
Shout out though.
And we were talking
Nice.
about the photo shoot, and I was like, I was wanting you to build that plexiglass case and stick a smoke bomb in there so that when you pull the case apart, the smoke broils underneath the bottle.
Oh.
And I remember talking about it, just being like, I'm so freaking jealous that you have an outlet to at least do something different than the rut.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. After a while, you're just like,
Do you get to have the creative ideas for your shoots too? Like I know you said you've got like a team of creatives and do you get to sit there and be like, it would be cool to pop a smoke grenade underneath this bottle of alcohol? Like, do you get to have that?
somewhat. I try to be respective
Yeah.
of like the creative director and the art director. But in the beginning, when we're kind of like idea stacking and trying to figure out what, the motto with the company I'm at now is everyone's a creative.
Yeah.
So they're not going to shoot my ideas down. But once it kind of hits a certain process in the road, I know like, unless I think this is seriously important, just like shut up, Noah. Because like, you might think it's cool, but
Were you
9 times
nervous
out-
the first one you put out there?
Oh, 100%.
Did it get shot down super hard?
Yeah, we
Heart racing.
yeah. We did an idea stack, and they're like, hey, how are we going to bring about like small business participation with this stuff? And I was like, here's my 4 ideas. And someone was like, like one of them was good. And it was just a win that like, I was like, I got one.
Yeah.
One they thought was good. I was super proud of it. And the client didn't pick it, but one day they'll pick my idea.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's fun. It's like, it's a whole different perspective of like everything. It's just bigger picture. Like you're working on such a large team, and that's something like we've had a lot of goals of like building teams. And like when I sit and think of our company, I have like, I always think about this, and I brought this up a lot recently, but have you seen Jobs with Ashton Kutcher?
No.
What?
I haven't either. Me and you.
This makes no sense then.
He talks to me about it all the time, and I'm like, Taylor, I haven't seen it. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
There's a shot.
I don't like anything that's Apple related. Like it's just not. I'm a Microsoft dude.
I don't text anybody with green bubbles. That's why I try to reach out to you on like Instagram or Facebook or something.
Yeah.
So there's a shot where basically Apple is like, they made it, like, right? So they hit that hump of like, how do we get from our dream becoming a reality? They were selling in these like local, it'd be like us selling something in like a local shop, and then all of a sudden we become worldwide. And so they step in, we step into that world, and there's a shot where Steve Jobs is walking. He comes and parks in this parking lot, and he just walks in, and here's all of his departments around him. And in the movie, it's a little bit kind of like arrogant-esque. Like he just walks in. He's like, he's not paying attention to anybody that's happening. But I do picture that exact moment in the future of like departments of what you walk into work. We show up, here is this department of Valhalla, this, and this. And we're just like checking in on like, what's going on here. We're managing these projects. And so like some of that side of things, like you're working in like a much larger scale in things that we actually dream of. Like that is what's going to happen eventually.
Who knows? Maybe we get big enough and then we just hire Noah and he's just runs all the marketing.
We have a contract for you afterwards.
Yeah, sign here. You think it's an NDA? It's actually signing your soul.
Boom.
But no, I mean that's you're a dreamer, and I love it. And I
like to dream.
I mean, if you think about it, we're a couple years old, and we already have like 3 departments. So
Yeah,
it's crazy to think of, you know, where Taylor was, and you know, you guys are working together, where you know buying a car doesn't have to suck, and now you're doing what you're doing, and he's doing what he's doing, and I mean that place is so beneath both of you, and it's one thing that Taylor and I have talked about, and with the creatives in the community of Wichita, and even a little bit outside, I try to explain to them like their worth, and whether this maybe is the last thing we talk about, we can talk about more in another episode, but videographers and photographers, especially in Wichita, I feel like do not know their worth.
Yeah.
We were
Big
talking
time.
about that.
I think you as a creative mind, right? Marketing mind, didn't know your worth working there, and you've realized that now. Taylor has realized it. What I'd love to talk about is your thoughts on videographers, because you obviously see the higher end, the national brand end, right? We're not necessarily there yet. I you know, any national brands that want to work with us, we're here. But I know Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, he's even spoke about it, to where there's going to be, over the next year, maybe 2, videographers are going to be huge. Photographers are going to be huge, and their pay, their worth, and everything is going to increase big time. So you seeing kind of like that higher end, I'm just curious on your thoughts on where that's where you feel like it's going to go.
I mean, I think 100%. You know, I'm not allowed to say the name of the project, but we just did a project for a company that was 1-day shoot and pretty good double-digit budget for a video that was 30-second long, 60-second long, 15. You know?
Me too.
And,
I didn't tell you about it yet.
Oh, yeah, okay.
but it's that understanding that if we're going to push into VR, if we're going to push into meta,
Right.
all of that stuff has a base in videography, and the amount of storytelling, especially on apps like TikTok, the way that you could build those stories together and plan them out in this longevity creates a need for somebody who can shoot quality and quantity
And tell a story, I'm assuming,
Exactly.
too, with it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. Trickle and we were talking about this when we met. That the problem with Wichita is that they don't understand, and so you walk into a business now and you tell them, "Hey, I'll shoot a video for you on a retainer 3 times a month for $5,000," and they're like, "Oh, that's expensive."
Yeah, but yet they'll go slap a billboard on the side of the street and not know if that's bringing in
Exactly.
business and
Yeah.
and pay, and like that. That still blows my mind.
Yeah, that's and realistically, the biggest step that a videographer needs to take is once they realize their worth and understand that they are above the average, you
Right.
know, 18-year-old that grabbed a camera and calls himself a videographer. Once you understand that, raise your prices, stick firm to it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be outside industries that will pay that.
Right.
And then once you've gotten to a point where those outside industries are paying, that you don't need the small Wichita business to pay you.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand your value, and at that point, you don't need them.
I feel like Wichita's, I don't know, maybe they're not, but some of the companies in Wichita I feel like are catching up a little bit with the coast, right? I've noticed since I've moved to Wichita like 3 years ago, one thing I noticed is that the Midwest area kind of seems to be about 5 years behind the coasts. So, you know, I know out there that they value a lot, especially during the pandemic. I mean, people had no choice, but, you know, you want to let people know your business is still open.
Yeah.
You got to put out some videos. You got to put out, you know, some photos and all that. And I think that the value has gone up there. And I think it's just a matter of time before it kind of works its way to the Midwest. hopefully.
The coasts are always ahead of everything. That's why I always look so stylish, because I'm just always following the coast.
Well, technically, New York is and the East Coast is ahead.
Right.
West is behind us because
Well, I follow the
it's
East
like
Coast.
an hour or two behind us.
I follow
So,
the East Coast.
Yeah.
That's why I always show up. And
West Coast,
whatever.
coast with the most.
Noah never knew what I was going to show up to work in. Like, I was always just like something random.
Yeah, you'd be like
Noah.
ripped jeans, and I'd just be like, "Is that allowed? I don't even." All right, he's here.
Even the style of Midwest is getting better thanks to old Standard Issue here. Shout out to you guys. Not sponsored yet. Yeah.
Can we put a logo on the back of Noah?
Yeah.
Just like is there a camera over there, Augie? Like shooting his back the whole time, like I asked you?
Just put one right here.
Yeah, we'll just put a little SI. Just kind of
track
floats
it.
there
Yeah,
at the
just
tracks.
track
Don't move for a second.
Uh,
There he is.
There we go.
Okay, I got it.
There's your
I want to try something. We've never actually done this. I didn't even tell you we're going to do this. This
Great
is
surprise
Google.
for me
This is how
too. Google
works. Joe Rogan has a Googler, and he's apparently the fastest Googler in the history of the world. That's what Gabe just told me.
okay.
So, this is just a rapid fire question. I'm going to skip through some of these. I'll always go last. We'll start with Noah, Shane, myself. That
Okay.
allows me to reframe my mind and get ready for the next question. So, Noah, what's your favorite drink?
Jack and Coke.
Water. Although I don't drink enough of it.
I feel like I can't answer that rapid. I just like bourbon. No ice. Neat. Okay. When are you most productive?
Morning.
Evening.
All the time.
100%.
I feel like these are just set up for
these
him.
are rigged to make me look real good. Who is your inspiration and why?
My dad, because there's no greater man than him.
Myself.
Why?
Why is it? I don't know. I put in a lot of effort and try to get better every day and grow. And I just feel like if you inspire yourself, then you're going to grow faster.
Ryan Reynolds.
Jeez, please.
He
my
built
God.
himself up and just tore himself down.
He did real good. Productive all the time. Ryan Reynolds.
He's incredibly good looking.
Okay. Next question.
Summer or winter?
Winter. I like to be cold.
Spring.
That is not.
He doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah.
No.
Summer in California, San Diego area.
Summer. I would say summer. I only like winter when I can take the mini out now and just like shred through the snow.
At 1:30 in the morning.
1:30 in the morning, yes. I like
Favorite-
summer because of the pool. And we get to hang out by the pool and a lot of cool, creative things happen while all the kids are swimming. How do you start your day? Red Bull.
No, actually now it's get up and run outside and I go to the gym. I'm trying to be healthy. Not doing
go.
great at it, not doing great, but we're trying.
It's good motivation. Yeah.
I wake up. I try to lay there for 10 minutes and touch nothing technology-wise and just kind of think for a little bit. Then due to my job, I kind of have to check my phone. So I'll do that, kind of go through my messages, get up and chug a glass of water, shower, and that's me, and I'm out the door.
I am much more of a night person. So like I used to be way more of a morning person, but literally in my nights I'm staying up as late as possible.
Yeah, texting me at like 3 a.m.
So morning is literally alarm wakes me up because it's time to get the kids up and get them ready for school, take them to school. And then after they're dropped off at school, then I finally respond to your text and start the day. What advice would you give your younger self?
Don't let people run over you just because you think they hold a position of power.
That's good.
I'd say try sooner, start sooner. That would be me. Like for me, I feel like I let a lot of other people guide me in the wrong direction, tell me that it would be hard, tell me that that's maybe not your lane. I feel like I always wanted to do something like Valhalla. I always wanted to, I always felt like learning was, being the nerd, trying to find intelligence and knowledge was like not the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
I should have started sooner. I should have done that. That's what I would tell myself.
I think like I was so close-minded. Like I was taught a certain thing. This is how you live your life. This is what's true. And I became very close-minded on, it has to fit inside of this box. And throughout life, that box has been completely like torn apart. It happened when I was working with you. It happened like being with you. Like that was, but yeah, just like don't put yourself in a box. Like a lot of people like create plans for you, whether it's they just speak it into you, or whatever they think that. So like mine was always like, you're such an amazing musician. You're gonna do this. You're gonna whatever be a famous musician, or you're gonna be a famous worship leader, or they didn't say famous, but you know what I mean? Like on these big levels of these, and now I'm not doing either. Like I'm doing music for fun, but it's like I am doing this lane, and I think I put myself in a box for a long time. And then that box changed every once in a while. I was like, box, I'm going to do this. I'm like, oh, actually, I'm going to do this. Okay, different box.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
That's a new segment.
Yeah.
What's in the box? Sponsored by Keystone Solid Surfaces. What scares you?
Something happening to my kids. They're all I think about. So
Mine would be the same answer, but to put something different, I have an extremely irrational fear of ladders.
That is true.
Yes. I don't know why. I just do. Don't like being on
them. I can't not say that would be the same because I don't want anything to happen to my kids.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Dad.
My fear is the toilet overflowing. And if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I want to live in like a small cottage in Ireland, just enough away from a city that it's like, I don't want to go out and see that guy because it's beautiful, but then like I want everyone to leave me alone. Eventually, I just want to be left alone.
I love that. I would be southern France. France. Vive la France. It's just the way that they kind of do things. Like everything's closed Sunday. Like how it should be. Ain't nobody going to Dillon's on Sunday or, going out to Burger King or whatever. Everyone's just in their house, spending time with family. If you drive around kind of along the Riviera and see the houses, the homes, be 7:00 at night and all their families out there and they're eating meals together. It's just, I don't know. I didn't really have that growing up. So kind of something I'd love to have with my own family.
Yeah, I think you know this a lot about me, but I don't travel a lot, like outside of
Hayes, Kansas. It's basically Hayes and maybe Kansas City,
Salina, Wichita. That's my L-shaped life right there.
Yep. Loser.
I am very much like I want to be isolated because as much as I can come across as like an extrovert, I am like hella introverted. And I can play both roles in whatever, but I literally want to go home and just only the people that I want in there is there. Yeah. And it's just a space that's outside of city life. It's outside of I love Wichita. Like I love being even downtown, like the vibe, but like
got a vibe
every time. But I want to, I grew up four-wheeling, dirt biking, paintballing,
Are you saying that you want to, your dream place to live is Wichita though, but just on the outskirts of Wichita?
My dream is down Andover Road to the left, and you take a right. You take a right after you take the left.
The whole world, he's just right there.
If I could just go 15 minutes outside of Wichita,
I just want to have my own space. It could be wherever.
There's no men with backpacks.
And there's a beach over here. There's a volcano over here, and there's other
good
things
luck.
over here. Ocean. Wait, there's the beach and the ocean. I'm bad at answering my own questions because
that's all right. Let's do
true.
one more and then let's wrap it up. We're over 2 hours now.
Vampires or werewolves?
Vampires. Yeah,
Vampires. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
100%. Whoever says werewolves is a complete idiot. So I'm guessing yours is werewolves.
I was going to say vampires. Actually.
Okay.
But why?
Vampire. I mean, name one famous werewolf.
Taylor Lautner.
Exactly. That's it. That's all you got. You got Dracula over here, heads on spikes, and then you got where you at, Loca?
But he can.
I'm just saying, like you can go out. This is from the movies, obviously, but most of them got 6-packs, looking all fit. You don't really see very many fat vampires, right? You get to stay young, you get to drink blood.
When do you see fat werewolves? I'm just playing team. What's his name? Jacob.
Team Jacob. I'm just saying, vampires are cool, man. All right, we're wrapping this thing. We are. This has been amazing. Like the information that you have has been absolutely, I don't know, just it's been different. It's been cool. I feel like I've learned a lot on this. Hopefully you've learned a lot and you realize that you don't need an education, do some really cool stuff. All you got to do is join the Army, then the reserves, and then you can get a job. Yeah, then the Air Force.
And then the Navy.
What I'd love to do is get this room designed some more, get everything working perfectly again, and then I'd love to have you back. We can talk more about the Metaverse if it's evolved.
The Metaverse will be gone, and the whatever verse.
Yeah, it'll be Snapchat will the Snapverse or something will be out. But seriously, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I hope that a couple more episodes we can have you back on again to talk more about some really fun projects that I know you got coming up.
Yeah.
Thank you for the 13 random questions that you did. Another light just died right now. So,
what are lights?
Yeah. So we're also gonna learn to plug all of our lights in.
Can you at least bring the power supply?
I have the power supplies at home. I keep forgetting to bring them. It's my fault. But yeah,
I definitely have to thank you for obviously being here, but also just like what you poured into me, the friendship we had, and the fact that we were like, I felt like I left you in the dark, like. All right, moving into this new world. And sorry, Noah.
You 100% bailed on me.
Yes. And it was, I dreaded the first time I ever texted you after that. Actually, I think Facebook comment was the first thing. And I was like, I literally was like commenting and you were chill. And I was like, he does not hate me. And so.
You're going on to bigger, better. I was proud.
Well, I thank you for that. And thank you for investing into me. And that's made me
you got
better
money?
And stronger. Well, there's lots of money. That does not go into this. That's this.
It's just right here.
When the fuck did we get ice cream?
So thanks, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
We appreciate you listening.
You're not closing this.
This has been Unfiltered with Shane
and Taylor
and Noah. Thank you.
Yes.